Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hamilton Report. I'm Scott J. Hamilton, and it seems like I may be experiencing a little audio problem here, but I hope that you all can hear me because tonight is a special show. Most of my broadcasts I spend 2 or 3 hours preparing for. This one actually I've been preparing for 18 months. It is a real joy to be with all of you this evening, but especially because I have the opportunity of presenting a very special guest this evening. As many of you know, we spent an exhausting day Saturday in our convention. It was truly Democrats working together, and it's just a long process. But the upshot is that we have elected our leaders for the next 2 years, and it's my absolute privilege to introduce my guest tonight, who is also my boss and my friend, and she is the re-elected chair of the Oklahoma Democratic Party. And please welcome to the show, Alicia Andrews. Good evening.
Hi, Scott. Hi, Democrats.
And I am not hearing you at all. So, can you hear me okay? I can't hear you at all. And this is very strange because I could hear everything a moment ago. For those of you who are already tuned in, I honestly don't know what to say because this has never happened before. Give me just a moment. And let's see, is that any better?
I can still hear you.
Speakers. Let's see if that's any better. Alicia, would you speak to me for a moment?
Hi, Scott.
Aha. Okay. Like I said, Saturday was a full day. My studio got moved around a lot, and I found my lights on the floor this afternoon. So if I'm looking a little cockeyed, that's why. But at least we can hear one another now. So again, welcome, Alicia. First of all, I know personally, because we work together every day, what it was like for you in these last several months, because you didn't just campaign, you still had a job to do as chair of the party. And you look terrific, but I know you've got to be tired because you haven't had a break in some time. How are you feeling tonight?
I am tired. I am tired, but I'm ready to do the work. As you mentioned, these last couple of months were tough because there's balancing campaigning, and they're still trying to make sure that we pulled off a convention for this past Saturday. And now my focus is back. My focus is back on the work that we need to do. And I was always making plans in the background. And so now I have to, we got to get ready and make those plans happen because 2022 will be here before you know it.
It absolutely will. We should talk a little bit, in case folks are not aware. We actually, the convention stands in recess right now. We are not finished with the work of our convention. So what's the next step in that process?
So the body stands in recess, and we have to reschedule, a reconvene. And in that reconvene, we still have 2 affirmative action positions that we need to elect. And then we have the business of our constitution and bylaws, or our rules, and our resolutions, which is our platform and what we stand for. So we still have that work that needs to get done. And so we need to schedule a meeting in order for us to get that work done. I will tell you that I have been out and about today in a couple of counties and talking to, physically in person, talking to Democrats all over the state today who are ready to reconvene. They're ready to get the work done.
Yeah, and I know that they're not just ready to reconvene and get the work done, but actually come together in person. Do you think that is a possibility, or some kind of a hybrid in-person Zoom, or am I asking way too early at this point?
You're putting me on the spot. If I had my ruthers and resources weren't a question, I would certainly do an in-person convention, and I'm going to shoot for an in-person convention. I think it's time that Democrats come from behind the computer screens and we get to see each other and I think we'll be nicer to each other. I think that, Democrats are ready, to be involved with one another again, go back to what we used to do.
Well, I do want to say that was not to put you on the spot because honestly, trying to get a physical space in a short amount of time, and we can't let this go on forever, is expensive and it's problematic. So we'll keep everyone posted. We have an interesting question in the chat. Will the party eventually move to elections every 4 years for officers? Because when you have good people in place, you don't want to lose them. Have you ever heard any talk about moving from 2-year to 4-year terms for officers?
Absolutely. There has been talk. No one turned that in as a constitutional bylaw change. And so it most likely will not happen as a result of this convention. A lot of states do it that way. There are some states that they're Arkansas, our neighbor to the east, their chair and their leadership is in place for 4 years. So some states do it. Oklahoma is not ready for that yet. No one's mentioned it and put it in writing. So we're not quite there yet.
Okay, but I think that it does bear some thinking because, we also have the presidential delegate convention. And so if we're not careful, I guess you could say we'd be in convention mode all the time. And that's while that's not true, sometimes it does feel that way. And I need to say this. This would be a really good week for you to have taken vacation after you have not had a single day off in months and months and months. And yet you were driving around the state today. You attended a funeral for a beloved, hardworking Democrat. Do you have any plans for some self-care to just relax and shut the world away for a little bit?
Scott coming with the hard questions. I I needed to make sure that we got through convention, and I won't take substantive time off before I, kind of get the wheels rolling on our reconvene. But I do already have a trip planned in August, so I do have an eye on self-care.
Good. I'm glad of that because you talk about that a lot in your daily lives about people taking care of themselves and sometimes that's easy advice to give, but harder to take. But it is something that we all need to reflect on because when you love what you're doing and when there's purpose behind it, it's easy just to keep on pushing.
Is this your way of asking for a vacation?
No, because actually at this point we had talked about vacation for this summer and we still may, but right now we can afford to either go to Moore or Edmond, and I'm not sure that we've decided on which one we're going to do yet.
Both great Oklahoma towns.
Yes, they are full of amazing Democrats. Let me ask you, through the campaigning process, and this is a little bit of inside baseball, I suppose, but what were some of the hardest moments for you in campaigning for your reelection? Because obviously you had a body of work to talk about, but there were still some slings and arrows being thrown. And what was the hardest thing for you?
So I kind of want to focus on moving forward, right? Because the party needs to move forward. There were tough times, obviously it was a campaign. The toughest part for me was knowing that there were Democrats who were throwing slings and arrows who, today they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine with me.
Sure.
And I don't like that we can't be kind to one another while we're campaigning. But I'm grateful that part's over and that we can move forward. I am grateful for both Sean Cummings and Christine Bird for their congratulatory posts. I appreciate those. And I think that is a great step towards us moving forward. That's conciliation. And I think it's a great step for us moving forward because I'm just going to keep saying it. We have to come together. We have to unite, and we have a lot of work to do.
And honestly, that's something I've been seeing a lot of on social media the last 2 days. People from all over the state, and even in varying degrees of involvement with the party, you're saying, okay, let's get to work. We've got a lot to do between now and a year from November. And that's true. And so thankfully, we do have a plan in place. You presented a strategic plan that was accepted by the Central Committee, and you presented that at convention. So everyone is aware of the direction that we're heading. The nice thing about a strategic plan is it is, to a degree, it's a working document. So as we find new opportunities to put things into that, we have some flexibility. But the beautiful part is we know the direction we're going. And one of the things I had to laugh this afternoon, one of the things that you have focused so much on is quality candidate recruitment. And our new vice chair is Eric is already hard at work. Eric Proctor is our new vice chair. He called me. I couldn't take his call. I called him back. He couldn't take my call. And then he called me back to apologize, saying, I'm sorry, I was talking to a potential candidate. And that's what he's been doing. He's been doing that ever since he's been out of office, frankly. But now he is so excited to be focused on candidate recruitment. And that's a huge bonus for party leadership.
I am so grateful for their energy. It has pumped me up. I've had a conversation with both Mr. Proctor and Mr. Dankwa since Saturday, and I'm inspired by their energy, and like I'm raring to go. I'm tired, but I am raring to go, and I'm so grateful that we've turned the corner and we have a new team that's ready to go, and we're kind of all with the same mission, and that strategic plan helped. It helps to guide them what we need to do, helps for them to provide me with ideas of things that they want to do. And I want to talk about that just a little bit. When I presented it at convention, I was so heartened and energized, because it was kind of late in the day, energized by all of the questions and the hands raised of people wanting to engage on the strategic plan. And so that tells me that the entire state is ready to go.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. And I just want to you mentioned Nana Dankwa is our new secretary, and Rachel Hunzucker, who has just been an extraordinary treasurer, stood for re-election and won her election. So that rounds out our elected leadership, and combine that with our DNC committee man and woman, Governor David Walters and Kaylin Free, and other folks in leadership here. It's exciting to me that we all have people that will work to guide us, but also welcome involvement of everyone around the state. You have been to so many counties while everyone was doing Zoom meetings in their counties, and you had a chance to really get a broader understanding, I think, than had we not been in COVID times, because people were able to interact with you regularly, and you know what's on their minds, and you've had a chance to share that with them. So I think that's a big leg up as we move forward. And I'm afraid that, Elisa, you are frozen on my screen. And I don't know if you could hear me or not, but I hope that you will come back in as soon as you unfreeze, or that you will log back into the studio. In the meantime, I just want to also recognize the enormous volunteer effort that took place, not just on Saturday for convention, but leading up to that. The folks who volunteered night after night and weekend after weekend, and those that were here in Oklahoma City in our office volunteering from 9 in the morning until well after midnight the following morning. It was powerful to see the level of commitment, and to see younger folks and older folks and everyone in between coming together to just be a part of this party. And man, it's really terrific. It's just a beautiful thing. But I want to say thank you also to the ODP staff. Andrew Rickel, our data director, did a great job working with an outside vendor to make this a smooth process. We really have one of the most innovative processes in the country now, as far as any state party. And so thank you to Andrew. Tucker Gamble is just a terrific person when it comes to understanding and meeting the needs of Democrats. He is our political outreach director, and in that role, he works with recruitment, with elected officials, with our federations, and he was really a great support. And I'll tell you about the rest of the folks in a moment now that we have Alicia back. And you know, it's funny, we did not have, other than early on, we didn't have any big technical issues on Saturday, which is a pretty powerful thing, Alicia, considering as long as we went, we didn't lose internet access. We really didn't lose anything. We just kept going. While you were out a moment, I took the opportunity to thank some of our staff. I'll get to the rest in a moment. But I'd like for you to mention the committees, if you would, that work so hard to make convention a success.
Absolutely. So I'll let you thank staff, which is absolutely a thing that we need to do. But we had the Rules Committee that was chaired by Jana Harkins from Oklahoma County, who's also the president of the Federation of Democratic Women. The Resolutions Committee, which was chaired by Amber Jensen, who is the chair of Congressional District 3. We had Arrangements Committee, which is chaired by Emily Gamble from Tulsa County, and Credentials, which was chaired by Demetrius Barriolas from Congressional District 1. And then we had the Constitution and Bylaws. I smile all big because that was my committee. I chaired the Constitution and Bylaws Committee. All of the committees had dedicated workers who gave up of their Saturdays and their evenings to go through, review all of the things that had been submitted throughout the state, combine them in logical ways, and kind of set a foundation for how we were going to run convention.
I think this is appropriate to show that this comment. Victor Gorin says, "Congratulations. I don't know how you kept smiling all the way to the end of that meeting, but you did. You are so good." That was a comment that several of us made. You just put that smile on and kept pushing through. That was, I think that gave all of us some sense that we were working in the right direction. So good job on that. As we look ahead for this year, and I know that there are plans that you have made, are there some things that you are particularly excited about that you see unfolding as the year moves forward? I think one of the things that you do regularly on your daily live, which if you folks haven't tuned in, please do every day at 4:15 on the party's Facebook page and also our YouTube page. But you talk a lot about elected officials, and not all of them are friends to our party. Many of the ones that you have talked about are deserving of real shame. So we have an opportunity to do something about that next year. But in the shorter term, what are some things that you're excited about right now?
So I'm glad that you mentioned our elected officials. I've been in conversations, and we started this off, and we can resume. Our legislative officials want to do Zoom meetings, and they want to come to some of our rural counties that don't have representation. Just because right now there isn't a Democrat representing your part of the state doesn't mean you don't deserve to hear what's going on at the Capitol and what the plans are. And so our elected officials, I'm working with them to set a schedule so that we can start making that happen. I'm very excited about that. I brainstormed, if you can believe it, on Sunday. I got up really motivated for change, and I brainstormed on some of the training that we need to offer and some of the events that we need to have before the year end. And so I'm excited about the concept of having a couple of training events and just a couple of let's get together as Democrat events. Quarantine has really kind of broken us up, and we need to get together again. And then I'm playing around with this idea. This is going to surprise you, but I'm playing around with this idea that I'm calling a movable feast, where we really travel to rural communities, and we have meetings on party building in a rural community, and we eat. and
I'm in.
but those are the kinds of things that get people engaged, and that's what we have to do. We need to be laying our game plan so that that in 2022, when we're in full on campaign mode, we've mastered the how we're organized, we've mastered the how we communicate, and we've mastered how we support candidates once we get them.
And I'll tell you that it's been a really impressive year because not just dealing with the challenges that we all dealt with, but in the midst of that, we were able to introduce some new technologies, some new tools for Democrats, and those are things that we certainly could not have done 2 or 3 years ago because there was no money to do that. And I want to take this opportunity to just encourage people who are not contributing financially to the party. That's the way this all works. It truly does.
Well, can I talk about some of those things?
Please.
So some of the things that we've introduced really in the last 6 to 9 months, we have an online bill tracker. Session is out right now, but they are going into a special session. So we have an online bill tracker so you can see what bills are being considered. Go out to our website and click on it. And whenever there's a motion made or something happens on that bill, you get an email. I love the updates. And so we have an online bill tracker. We have an online voters registration tool. Yes, the state election board has that, but ours is in Spanish. We have it in English and in Spanish, and it allows us to communicate with folks as they're registering to vote. Additionally, we have a Democrat swag store. People are always asking me where they can get t-shirts. Go out to our website. We're constantly adding different designs. And so there are things that we're doing to shore up our party so we're ready.
I have to tell you, it feels a little bit to me right now, this week feels a little bit like it did in January when President Biden was sworn into office. There's a new sense of hope, and I'm not. You have to take credit for that. I'm sorry, because 65% of the delegates voted for you, and many of them were representing not just themselves but people in their areas, their counties, their towns, and so that means that we're ready. We do see that it's a new day. And when you look at the progress that the Biden administration has made to helping Americans, there's no stopping what we can do to help Democrats and Republicans and independents and those with no affiliation at all by working as the Democratic Party to elect people who care about people.
So I do want to talk about the 65%. I believe that what Oklahoma Democrats were saying is we are ready to move forward. We like what's happening. We're ready to unite and move forward and get the work done. Again, I am anxious to see the work that Mr. Cummings and Ms. Byrd are going to do, because they would not have run if they didn't care about this party and didn't have plans for this party. And so I'm anxious to see the work that they do. And we have I'm grateful for the support that the state has shown me, and I am absolutely taking it as a referendum that they want me to continue the plan that I laid out, and they want to be involved in that plan. And so I will work on making sure that we're all in it together.
Yeah, and John Mencken says inclusion, not all Democrats are alike. And that's one of the most beautiful things about our party is that there is room. There is room to be different. There is room to have different thoughts on how we get somewhere. But as long as
there's room, and we're creating more room.
Yes. And I need to share with our viewers that you said we're creating that, but that's an intentional process. It doesn't happen, and you have really done terrific work in opening opportunities for people. And I know that last week one of our staff members, Stuart Schofield, who is our field director, and thanks to him for his work this past week to get ready for convention and organizing our volunteers to be here. But he was talking to people about volunteering with the party, and there was this resurgence of energy saying, yeah, I want to knock doors. I want to do postcards. I want to work in the office. tell me what you need. And that's a powerful, exciting moment when you hear those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
Let me see, who have I not mentioned? Ryan Starkweather, our operations director, one of the most cool-headed people you've ever met until after around 11:30 at night, and he gets positively silly, which actually at that point in the night, it was helpful to keep us light-spirited. But thanks to Ryan for all the work that he did. Angela Almond, our communications director, did terrific work in keeping our delegates updated on processes and information that they needed, and including throughout the day, posting information of what was happening in convention. Eric Smith, our newest employee, seems like he's been here a long time because he fits in so well. He's our development director. And thank you, Eric, for all of the work that you did in securing sponsorships and making people want to support their party. So I'm truly grateful for all of our staff, the work that they have done and do every day. So I just needed to say that. I'm sure that there are lots more people that we should be thanking, but I'm missing some folks. And if we did everyone, Christy, you are too sweet. Thank you. Thank you for that. And see, this is what happens when you have a guest that knows how to push the buttons. She can pop up whatever she wants. I'm going to ask you to talk for just a few minutes, please, if you would, about your relationship to the national organization. The DNC is just this monster that, in my mind, it was just this big monstrous organization before I came to work for the party. And I've started to see it in a very different way. You have made incredible inroads working with the DNC, particularly through the ASDC, which is the Association of State Democratic Committees. Would you talk a little bit about your work there and what that has meant in terms of elevating the work of Oklahoma around the country?
Well, first of all, since you're not going to do it, I do want to thank you, Scott, for all of your efforts in corralling the staff and helping me with my morale and trying to make sure that I stayed fed on Saturday, and like plugging all the holes that I was skipping. I do appreciate you. I appreciate that. I appreciate this. And so I want to say thank you to you as well.
Thank you. I accept that.
Okay. So back to the original question, which I've forgotten. Oh, ASDC and
Yes.
my position at ASDC. So I am the chair of the Midwest region, right? So that includes Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan.
Good work.
And so in that gives me the opportunity to brainstorm and mastermind with other state chairs, other state parties, other state leaders. And because I don't have to have all the ideas. They have ideas. They've tried things. And this gives me an opportunity to mastermind with them and find out things that they've tried and learn from their mistakes and their successes, and also mentor them. During the election cycle in 2020, we did a joint fundraiser with 6 different states where we raised money based on like who they knew and things that we can do. What my position on the ASDC does is it gives Oklahoma a voice on the national stage, right? Because I'm talking to folks, it gives us a voice on the national stage. It gave me sort of like a leapfrog that I've been in conversation with Chairman Harrison. It allows me to learn from the elected officials in those other states, and that's what we need. And I ran for the position not because I'm a title collector, because I'm not. I ran for the position because I needed to make sure that Oklahoma had a voice. Not that I was just at the meetings, but that my voice was, what is the word? Solicited, that they asked, what did Oklahoma think? And I assure you, I've been incredibly vocal, and they know what Oklahoma thinks. And what I think Oklahoma thinks is that we don't get enough attention and we are not getting enough support. And along with Joshua Harris Till, the president of Young Democrats of America, and Taz Tasneem Michael, the vice chair of College Dems of America, David Walters, our national committee man, and Kaylin Free, our national committee woman, and now Eric Proctor. We have several seats on the DNC. And we are all attacking the issue all over the place, trying to make sure that our issues are heard. We may not have any federal elected officials because that's who's supposed to speak up for us. But we are united. We meet regularly, and we are, embarking on plans to put Oklahoma back on the map with some actual federal wins.
Well, that's exciting. And I wanted you to speak about that because I think a lot of folks don't even know what the ASDC is. And like me, probably thought it was just a big organization that it's hard to get into or out of, or that it's this big secret thing. I'm happy to say that there's a lot of information that we report from the DNC every single day that we get, that we share on Facebook. And I'm grateful that you have the ear of so many people now, because it's going to make moving into our actual affecting the plan, I think, a lot easier because we have support. That's a powerful thing. Go ahead.
I know we're over time already, but I do want to address Robert Shane Graves, if I may.
Please. I yes, by all means. Let me put his question up here. Last week, the OESC decided to cut funds by 20% of Oklahoma's unemployed workers. Y'all have any information about what this is truly about? I don't, so I'm glad you're going to address it.
So I don't know about the 20%, but I want to address the fact that our governor decided just cause to discontinue the supplemental unemployment benefits. They are federal dollars. It does not affect our budget. It is federal dollars. And because he is, again, he's trying to play with the big boys and he's trying to be part of the national conversation, other states are cutting it. So he decided to cut it. We don't get any bonus points for not helping Oklahomans. He's really just doing it because other Republicans are doing it. This is all the more reason why we have to focus. We have to focus and we have to pick the best candidate, registered Democrat candidate, to run for governor, to run against Kevin Stitt. And that's going to be a big focus of the party. Kevin Stitt has to go. But once we announce once we get our general election candidate, we all have to just go ahead and commit that we're going to support them with our dollars and support them with our feet. We've got to go out and knock doors. We've got to do the work. And so we have to lay the foundation. We already have one candidate who's announced for governor, and that's former Senator Connie Johnson. Senator Johnson knows the issues, and if she is a candidate that you choose to support her now, because we need to make sure that Stitt doesn't feel like he's going to comfortably walk back into that office, because we do not need him. He is not making decisions for Oklahoma. He's making decisions to hang out with, I can't even think of the guy, the governor of Florida. He's trying to run with those folks. That's not Oklahoma. We have to elect candidates that are focusing on Oklahoma. And this guy has already told us who he is. We need to work together and start helping those candidates. So if you know someone who's thinking about running for governor, please make sure that you reach out to me so we can have those conversations. But in the meantime, if you support Senator Johnson, she has already announced, and now's the time to get out there and help her.
Thank you for that clarification, because I did have a call this evening. A man was on the phone with them today since 7 a.m. He was disconnected. He was hung up on, and this call was after 5 o'clock. He'd spent the whole day because he and his wife are both unemployed, and this is really going to hurt their family. Alicia, you and I, it's not surprising that we're running over time because you and I don't have quick conversations. But I know that you are tired and that you deserve a little bit of quiet time this evening. But I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and obviously we'll have plenty to talk about with our viewers as the months go by. But from me on a very personal level, it is my honor to work with you every day, and I'm thrilled to know that that's going to continue for the next 2 years. So thank you, not just for being here, but for all that you do, have done, and I know will do for the Democratic Party here in Oklahoma. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow. And for everyone else, I will see you next Monday evening. Thank you for helping me through these technical challenges tonight. We'll have those worked out by next week. But know how much I appreciate you giving up half an hour every Monday evening or whenever you watch this program. It's our responsibility and our opportunity and my pleasure to be able to come to you once a week with issues and people who are critically important to our party or just maybe interesting to Democrats. On our program next week, LaCharles Purvey, local playwright and theatrical director, will be my guest, talking about a new play that he is presenting. He's directing now, and it will have particular importance to Democrats in our state. So I hope that you'll tune in next week to hear what he has to say. And as I said before, please know that our chair goes live every day at 4:15 on Facebook and on YouTube. From all of us here at the Oklahoma Democratic Party and the Hamilton Report, thank you for being with us. I'm Scott J. Hamilton. Have a great night. Good night.